2. Oh my gosh, it's noon on Thursday?
You always
February
make
3rd?
noise.
I'm a
at the
noisy
begin-
guy.
I know, but like you don't listen to the podcast because then like on the podcast, it like James has to try and figure out like where to.
Sorry, James, and sorry all those podcast listeners. But it's Thursday, February 3rd, and it's a little afternoon now. And this is news that you can use from YAA with your dear friends and gracious hosts, Zach and Ray. And today we're kind of on a roller coaster.
Hey Shannon, hey Space, hey Leon, Neil, Justice, Jordan, Jimmy, Matt, thank you guys all for being here.
Yes.
Yeah, Pops, today kind of felt like roller coaster felt like the right theme. We've got
it's
car
roller coaster Thursday.
It kind of feels that way. We've got car
Yes.
prices going up, going down. We've got softening in the market, strengthening in the market. It's like it kind of seems hard to choose like what's actually happening. But I think there's some new interesting things going on that we can talk about that kind of tie back to, feeling like we're on this roller coaster.
Yes.
Did you actually see? It was actually, let me double check. I want to get it right. Interest rate UK. The Bank of England.
Yeah.
They raised their interest rate another 0.5 point, back-to-back half-point interest rate raises.
Raises to tame inflation in an effort to tame inflation.
So that's what I wanted to kick today off with. Is in January we saw less consumer demand than
I didn't know you could actually tame inflation. You could try and slow it down, but tame it? You do that to big cats.
That was good. That was good. I should give you the clapping sound effect. We've seen softening demand in January.
Yes.
Without a question. We put a video out the other day, just yesterday, talking about how if you need to buy a used car in the next 6 months, like do it now. Dealers are getting the itchy cold feet.
Before the spring selling season comes upon us, before all that extra cash from tax refund season comes upon us.
Yep.
Because of the softening of demand, and it's more regionalized than nationalized. But in certain regions of the country, there's been a softening of demand. There's been less floor traffic, and sales volume is down.
Yep.
And so many dealers, because of that, are reconsidering their pricing structures and their negotiating policies in regards to their pre-owned cars. I think that might continue for the next 4 weeks. I think once the spring selling season hits, I think dealers will become more aggressive in holding the line. But for the time being, I think we for the next 4 weeks, I think we might be able to find some relative bargains out there, and bargains is a relative term.
Now, pair that
Yes.
with increasing interest rates.
Yes.
The expectation is, it's not an expectation, it's going to happen.
Yes.
Interest rates are going to increase.
Yes.
We've already seen floor
Absolutely.
plan costs increase as well.
Yes.
If you've been patiently waiting in the market, hey, Carl.
Yes.
Carl, we know you haven't been waiting because you bought your Outback a couple weeks ago. But if you've been patiently waiting in the market,
yes,
you are coming up to a position here where you're going to have negotiating leverage once again. That's why we used the roller coaster today, because it's been a roller coaster ride. We've been going for months where we had no leverage, absolutely no leverage. And it seems like this month of February, you're going to have some leverage.
A little bit of leverage. I mean, the dilemma will be that the interest rates might not be as good as what they have been, but they're definitely going to be going up because the Fed is definitely going to raise rates. And when they do, it's going to impact automobile loan interest rates. But with the softening of the market, I'm telling you, there are dealers out there that you can find that will work with you today where even 40 days ago they would not have. They realize what they've paid for their inventory. They realize the risk that they're running. They realize the potential losses that are out there. And the smart dealers will negotiate to some degree to try and mitigate what their future losses might be.
Now, I want to share something on the screen. Give me a second here.
Yes.
Gang window capture. Let me set that
We have
up
a window
properly.
capture?
Okay, so here we go.
Yes.
This comes by way of Cox Automotive.
Yes.
Okay. This is their monthly auto report. If you're interested in it, I can drop it in the chat. It's a lot of slides, as you can see.
Oh my
Actually,
God,
it's only
yes, it
12.
is.
It's not that many.
Yeah.
0% financing down in January. This was a chart I wanted to focus on.
Yes.
Look at what happened during, around the beginning of the pandemic.
Yes.
Okay, financing offers through the roof. 20% of folks that were getting financing were getting a 0% financing offer, down to 7.5% now. We're coming back
Yes.
down to reality.
Yes.
That reflects what's going on with
Yes.
interest rates. They have some data here. Where is it? Cox Automotive leading indicators.
Yes.
We bash Cox from time to time because we don't necessarily think that their monopoly in the market is that advantageous for consumers.
It's not, but
I was trying to use
but it can provide us with some valuable data.
So here we go.
Yeah.
Shopping activity mixed to start the year.
Yeah.
Leads slowed. I hate how they call us leads. We are not leads. Like customers interested in buying cars.
Yes.
I guess that would have forced it onto 3 lines.
Opportunities
slowed
in January.
Yeah,
from
or
December.
like just something.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, we as
seals. Call us like I don't know.
We as human beings should represent something other than leads.
I hate that.
Okay.
I just got triggered.
I can tell.
But
in the car business, that's
ups. Call us ups.
Ups, yes, absolutely. But ups are people that actually come into the dealership.
I mean, the leads never do that.
Very rarely.
Leads slowed in January from December on Auto Trader, but we're up on Kelley Blue Book, and leads were down on both sites compared to last year, but up against 2020. Kind of makes sense why they'd be up against 2020. This time during 2020 was the beginning of the pandemic.
Yes.
No one had any clue what was going on.
Yeah.
Credit applications on dealer tracks still down with record COVID cases and winter weather improving week over week.
Yes.
Unique applications on a same-store basis last week were down 17% year over year and down 28% against 2019. That's significant.
Yes.
When we talk about leading indicators to people buying cars, you need people filling out credit apps. And dealer track runs. They got a monopoly on
for the most part
on shotgunning out your credit.
Yes.
Service trends on X Time also showed the impact of COVID cases and weather, but week over week improving trend. Completed appointments last week were down 1% year over year and 15% against 2019. This speaks to the labor shortage. This piece does. But these two pieces speak to weakening and softening consumer demand, which, again, if you've been patient, means you're coming up on a time where it actually might make sense to buy a car. We actually posted back on
and let's be clear here. We're not saying you should buy a car.
No.
Okay. We're still of the opinion that if you can wait 6, 9, 12 months, you might be better off.
Look at what I wrote this morning.
But if you must buy a car, if you have an absolute need to buy a car, the next 4 weeks could be the time frame in which to do it.
So this is what I wrote this morning. Let's discuss if right now is a good time to buy a car, whether you should buy new or used, or if you should consider leasing. Let's also keep in mind that the same rule applies as it did last year. If you don't need to buy a car right now, please don't. Prices are inflated, and while we are seeing some renewed deal making, that doesn't necessarily reflect a great value. And I come down here to talk about
that rather nicely.
Thank you. I wrote it at 6 a.m. this morning.
Wow.
I know. Helps when you wake up at 4:45.
You know what I was doing at 6 a.m.
Sleeping.
Morning?
Snoring.
For sure.
We got a little Pops Inception going on down here in the right corner. You see that? There you are.
Yeah.
There you are. Wave at yourself.
Yeah. I'm like horse manure. I'm everywhere.
And I actually referenced this new car deal that was posted. Whoops, that actually takes you to listings. You got to click on the image.
Yeah.
This takes you back to the community forum. You're getting a brand new Ram 2500, 11.5% under MSRP. Like, there are deals to be made on the new car side still.
There are some deals to be had.
And on the used car side, talking about exactly what we've been discussing this morning, we are hearing that dealers are taking up to sometimes $2,000 losses on used cars just to get to the back end. Now, why would someone want to get to the back end?
Because that's where they're going to try and make up the money.
We have, and this, thank you, Justin, for writing this morning. Dealer profits are out of control. How is this possible with no inventory? I think it's probably because there is no inventory.
That's why it's possible.
So this comes by way of JD Power. In January 2022, total profit per vehicle retailed was $5,138.
Yeah.
That's up 137% year over year.
That's pretty big.
That's
You'll
take a $2,000 loss on the front end if you make back $3,000 on the back end.
Well, don't forget that the total profit is front and back.
Yep.
But yes, I mean, here's really the way to look at it. If the average gross profit, including the front end and the back end, per vehicle sold is $5,100 some dollars.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have some used car inventory that you know you paid too much for. Does it make sense to lose a couple $1,000s on those and hope to make some of that money back on the back end, knowing that on most of your other cars, you're going to be making more than $5,000? Yeah, because you need to get out from under those cars that you paid too much money for. So
Absolutely.
you can afford to take those individual losses because cumulatively, you're still going to come out way ahead, because those deals that are losers are probably extra deals in the sense that you wouldn't have made them in the past, but you'll make them now. So they're just extra deals.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so you can afford to do it.
One of the things that's going through my mind right now is we're going to have updated. So back on the YA listings, you can actually see what the day supply of inventory is in your area. But we're going to have the updated data from Automotive News for January's day supply of inventory probably next week.
Okay.
I'll be very curious to see how that's gone up on the new car side, or if it's gone down for some brands. Like Acura, I wouldn't be surprised if it's continued to go down. Subaru, I wouldn't be surprised if it's continued to go down. But we shall see. Pops, Space said less cash this tax season as most people got their CTC in advance last year. What is CTC?
Child tax credit.
Oh.
Yes. You need to stay up on these acronyms, buddy.
No, and I guess that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because if you took your tax credit early last year, that's significant for a lot of families.
What's going to happen is a lot of people are going to be shocked and surprised and disappointed when they realize that their tax refund this year isn't as large as it's been in the past. Now a guy like me that hasn't been able to take a child tax credit for a long time matters not.
We've got Jordan in the chat saying Jeep, Dodge have a lot of inventory, and so does Kia. We've been driving today.
Yes.
A Jeep Grand Cherokee L Summit.
Yes.
And we were looking up.
We reached the summit.
we definitely did.
Yes.
We were looking up, and let's take another quick peek here just to kind of like put in perspective Jeep inventory. So it was a Jeep Grand Cherokee L.
Yes.
And we said Summit, right?
Yeah, last time I checked, that's what we drove today.
That's what we drove.
Yeah.
So we're within 500 miles of where you and I are right now. Let's
Yes.
just click on one so we can go see 113 available units. We used a different zip code earlier.
Yes.
We were using like a New York zip code, and the day supply then was 24. Looks like in the DC area, there's a lot more available units at a pretty high supply.
Yeah, but look at how many have sold in the past 45 days. So, I mean, they sell pretty quickly.
Yeah, but there's 113 out there.
Yeah.
So, but this is a great way to also check the price history. This is a great way to see what the day supply of inventory is in your area. Okay, let's switch gears, Dad. There's a couple other news stories today that I thought were relevant and that we should bring up. We had Infiniti and Nissan.
Yes.
They got a mandate that they can't make too much money on the back end. That's essentially what happened.
Well, in a sense, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Infiniti Nissan dealers can choose 1 and 2% point on a car loan margin. That's it.
Yes.
That's the cap. Can you explain how this works on the back end? And then also, like, did there not used to not be caps? I thought there was a federal law in place that said it was no more than 3 points, or am I mistaken?
It's more of an understanding, I believe, than a federal law, that most dealers won't increase the rate from the buy rate to the sell rate more than 2.5%. Most do it at a limit of about 2. So what Infiniti is saying is that as the dealer, you can choose to make 1% and have a little more freedom as to how you can apply that to your customers. Or you could make 2%, and there's a few more stipulations tied into how you can utilize that. Like if you have a customer that's complaining that the rate's too high, there might be a way around it if they have a lower rate from somewhere else, but there's paperwork that has to be filled out and attested to and signed for that exception. So there's stipulations assigned to this, but it's a way for the manufacturers to limit the damage that can be done to customers when they go into the F&I office as far as how the rates marked up.
Is this another example of the OEM taking a bit more of?
They do it at Mini now.
They do it at Mini now too.
They offer the rate. If you're approved, whether you're tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, or tier 4. If you're approved, the rate is the rate. Okay. And that rate is marked up no more than 2 points, but that is the rate. And everybody gets charged the same rate. Now, some people don't like it because they've earned a better rate.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like bunching everyone.
Yeah, and bundling. And those people who have handled their credit poorly in the past get to take advantage of the situation because they get a better rate than they would have qualified for on their own.
Let's answer a question here from Carl in the chat about interest rates. How does refinancing work, and are there risks to getting refinanced for a better rate from either your current lender or another lender? Great question.
Well, the way it works is you're still using your vehicle's collateral. And let's say you signed up on a 60-month note and 6 months in, you say to yourself, you know what, I think maybe I want to refinance. I can get a better rate. Well, what typically happens is, yes, you might be able to get a better rate, but you're going to refinance and probably go back to 60 months to get that better rate. So you have to factor in the 6 months worth of payments that you've already made to see if it's really going to save you money in the long run.
One of the things I learned about the refinancing space, because we looked into it a little bit here with YAs, we were trying to figure out what's the business model behind the scenes.
Yes.
The way that you make money in refinancing is you get a small, as the refinancing company, you get a small flat for having placed the loan. You make more money selling extended warranties, gap insurance, tire and wheel. That's their business model.
Yes.
So if it's just like going to the F&I office. If you're not interested in those things, or if you want to negotiate them and whatnot, but if you can get a better rate, and if the payments can pencil, then go for it.
But you have to make sure it pencils. Now, that's not to say, most people, when they think of car loans, okay, they think in terms of 24, 36, 48. 60s.
No one thinks about 24 months.
Well, but my point.
Maybe your generation.
Yeah, well, they did in my generation. 72, 84.
There we go.
But my point is that banks will do odd month financing, and by that I mean 54 months as opposed to 48 or as opposed to 60. So you can get a 54-month loan, or somebody might offer you 63 months or 62 months as opposed to a 60-month loan to make your payment a little more palatable. But you can look at slightly different terms than what everybody normally thinks of. So
definitely.
There are odd terms that are available and the banks will do.
Bedford's got a question here. Is working hard to have good credit not as advantageous anymore in getting interest rates? That's a good question and a kind of a fair point. Because now that things are more tier oriented?
Well, in most cases, they're still tier oriented, and your interest rate is going to be commensurate with your past credit history. I used to always say you're just getting the credit, you're just getting the interest rate that you've earned based on how you've handled credit in the past. So yes, it's still important to handle your credit well so that you're not a tier 3 or a tier 4 and that you're paying above average interest rates because you handled your credit poorly. It's still important in the long run, if you're going to utilize credit, to make sure that you've handled it well so that you can always get the best rates.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily the question. I think it's more along the lines of, is it evolving, and does my credit score matter less now than it did before? I can't imagine it does yet. I think yet is the operative word there.
Probably.
Yeah. Because I think, we're seeing in the insurance space, for example, we're moving away from the traditional insurance rating philosophy for car insurance. That traditionally was, what's your credit profile? Where do you live?
How expensive you live there? Yeah.
Okay, here's your rate.
Yeah.
We're moving more in the direction. There's a company called Metro Mile. You download an app on your phone. They track you driving for a couple weeks, and then you get an insurance quote based on how you drive.
Wow.
No credit check.
Yeah.
So I think eventually we might be in a place where...
At least that's what you think.
Yeah. Maybe that's a soft pull, not a hard pull.
Yeah.
But eventually I imagine you get to a place where it's a little more... Your credit score isn't as important. But for now, it's incredibly important.
I honestly, with the cost of everything going up...
Lauren's hitting the nail on the head. Yeah.
I don't think it's ever going to be less important, because things are more and more expensive than they've ever been, and people are financing more and more than they ever have. And if banks are going to take a risk, which they do on
Yep.
every loan,
Yep.
it's going to be based on how you've handled your credit in the past.
Definitely. We've got from a tool here, what's going on with the F-150 Lightning allocations. I reserved in the first couple hours, but no sight of a truck coming. One dealer here in Northern Illinois said only 180 to 200 dealerships, out of 200 dealerships, will get at max one Lightning. Thank you, Justin. We have an article that's going to be coming out today or tomorrow about the F-150 Lightning, so hang tight.
Yes.
We'll get that information up on the website really, really quickly for you. One more credit question, and then we're going to jump to the next story. Here's an excellent 825 credit score more important than income for retirees showing limited income? That's a great question.
Yes.
It is?
Yes, because it shows that you know how to handle your credit. You know how to make sure that everything gets paid on time. And just because you're retired with a limited income doesn't mean that you don't have the resources to actually pay for the credit that you're asking for. More than likely you do. You just have a limited income now.
Yeah. All right, let's pop on the headphones for just a quick second here.
Oh my God, do you think I still know how to do that?
We're about to find out.
I don't.
Dad, what are you doing?
Hey, I'm good to go. Really? You gotta be kidding me.
I should have played that while you were trying to get.
Really? You gotta be kidding me. You can't even put on damn headphones?
That was something else. All right, let's go to the screen. Before we get Tesla bashed at all, we're going to do some recalls, okay? Not just Tesla.
Yeah.
Kia.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we're equal opportunity recall.
Well, here's the beauty. It's a little over 1,250,000 vehicles between the two manufacturers that are being recalled.
And for a tool's sake, in the chat, he was just asking about, the F-150. If you sign up for our free newsletter, it's right here. Just check that box. Check all the boxes, actually, while you're at it.
Yeah. Check all the boxes. Yeah.
Okay, so what happened with Tesla? They recalled 817,000 vehicles. There were 2 recalls this past week. One has to do with the seatbelt chime.
Yes.
It's not going on when
doesn't always chime when it should.
Not that big of a deal, though, in the grand scheme of things, because over-the-air updates. So actually, this is a positive, really, you got to be kidding me. This is not a situation where we've got 817,000 vehicles that all need to go back into the shop, and there's all sorts this.
Yeah, I was going to say go back to the deal. Oh, there is no dealer.
But it's not
too
big of a deal. The other Tesla recall this past week affected about 54,000 vehicles, if I'm not mistaken.
Like that, yes.
That one was pretty funny. Could you explain what the heck happened?
Well, they have programmed their software to
mimic human beings really well.
To mimic the way, especially drivers in New Jersey drive. Which is to, when you approach a stop sign, is to never stop fully. It's what's known as a rolling stop. You approach the stop sign at a low rate of speed. You look to your left, you look to your right, you look directly across, and you go, I can make that. And you hit the gas, never having completely come to a stop. And that is how 54,000 Teslas seem to have been programmed. That they don't come to, they just mimic the way people drive. They come to a rolling stop.
Which I got to give credit to whoever was in that room that made that decision. Yeah. Oh, you got Carl.
Nobody stops.
Carl, you don't stop at stop signs. No. Cindy, do you stop it? No. Should the autopilot stop it? No.
Just slow down. That's all. Just needs to slow down.
I think it's truly fantastic. Then we have over on Motor Trend, they were on top of this. Kia's latest recall is so huge, it includes nearly everything but the hamsters. That is a quality headline.
It is.
This is another, unfortunately, an airbag recall. 410,000 vehicles. The Sedona, Soul, and Forte models. Yeah, this one's not as cheery.
Where the airbags might not deploy when they should. And let's face it, if you're a hamster, you're going to need that airbag more than anything.
Yeah, you really will. Yeah. It's unfortunate when you do end up with recalls like these that materially affect the safety of the vehicle. Yes. Obviously, the chime on the seatbelt is not one that we should gloss over per se, but the OTA, the over-the-air updates that newer vehicles have, that's honestly a kind of a selling point for why you would want to consider a newer vehicle, is if there is an issue.
If it's a software issue, it can be addressed over the air. If it's a mechanical issue, then it needs to be addressed at the shop. And if the difference between a Kia and a Tesla is I think Kia shops are more readily available than, say, a Tesla shop.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Also on the really you gotta be kidding me front,
Yes.
it's unfortunate, but here on the homepage of Auto News, the Chevy Spark story is coming to a close. This was breaking news just an hour ago.
Yes.
GM will discontinue the ever-loved Chevy Spark, its smallest and
No, it
lowest
doesn't
price.
say ever loved in there.
Smallest and lowest price nameplate after this summer. We are getting further and further away from offering vehicles that are at attainable price points from those people. The Spark, the Mitsubishi Mirage.
Yes.
There might be another one that I'm missing, right? The Honda Fit.
Yeah.
Those
the Honda Fit was discontinued.
Those all
because
were
they're low profit margin, low sales. And so it's just not worth it to the big time manufacturers to keep building and offering those vehicles. And truth be told, if they were to continue them, they might become more popular. And the reason I say that is as interest rates go up and it becomes more difficult for people to afford a higher payment, it's these inexpensive small cars that might still allow people to get into something. But if those cars don't exist, then there's even a more limited supply of vehicles for those that can't afford a big payment.
The 2022 Spark starts at $14,595 with the destination fee.
Yeah.
The new entry point into the GM brand will be the Chevy Trax at $22,595 plus the
That's
destination
$8,000. Okay, do you think $8,000 over 60 months could make a difference in somebody's payment? I do. And I think when we see stories like this, it just highlights even further the inequality of transportation in America
100%.
today.
Absolutely.
You know, the chasm between those who can afford and those who can't just keeps growing. And when manufacturers do away with these lower priced cars, it just makes it even worse.
Another thing that's kind of through the lens of trying to find equality,
Yes.
U.S. lawmakers introduced right to repair bills to spur competition. U.S.
Yes.
Representative Bobby Rush said he had introduced legislation to ensure vehicle owners and independent repair shops have equal access to repair and maintenance tools as automakers, dealerships. So we've had a big push in the right to repair movement and some more news
I believe
here.
it started in Massachusetts more than anywhere.
Yeah. And this, to be clear, this not only affects retail automotive, this affects
farm equipment.
The farm equipment space with John Deere.
Yeah, is crazy.
Yeah, like I haven't pulled up anything for that, but I mean, we could actually. Yeah, the bill would allow consumers to repair their own devices without needing to get the Copyright Office's permission every 3 years. Like right now, as a consumer, if you want to do your own repair, if you want to go to an independent shop, the amount of loopholes that you have to, or hurdles you have to overcome, it's ridiculous. And just to humor us,
I think it's called the amount of hoops you have to jump through.
Yeah, with your itchy feet.
Yeah.
I mean, here, John Deere right to repair, like there's just articles everywhere about this.
Because the farmers are being held captive by John Deere and other farm equipment manufacturers who won't allow them to be able to get the vehicles repaired anywhere other than at those manufacturers' facilities. And let's face it, stop it.
Sorry, I sneezed.
Yeah, and let's face it, if it's always going to be more expensive if you have to go to those manufacturers.
100%.
Yeah.
No, the right to repair movement's a great thing.
Yes.
We wholeheartedly support it. All right. Viking Saint says Ford Maverick starting at $20K is not that bad.
Yeah, if you can get one.
If you can get one, also, man, those things are tiny.
Oh my God. I just feel like I'm going to sneeze and I know I'm not.
All right. Well, we will let you sneeze off camera. Let's call it a show for today. We will be back.
Oh, come on. We're a minute and 27 seconds short of a show. No, come on.
We will extend the show for a minute and 27 seconds. We will not be live tomorrow. We will not be live Saturday. We will not be live Monday, and we will not be live Tuesday.
Why is that?
We are going on a trip.
Oh my God. And what, they have no electricity where we're going?
I don't think you would go on a trip with me somewhere where there wasn't electricity.
Okay, so there's plenty of electricity. We just can't take
I think
all the equipment.
I think you can see the light from the Luxor in space. That's how much electricity there is.
Yes. No, there's no city in probably the world that utilizes
as
more
much electricity than Las Vegas,
which is where we will be.
So follow us on Instagram. That's probably, if you don't follow us on Instagram already, that's where you will find us. Oh, and that's great.
Look at that.
I just open up Instagram and there you go. Your Advocate Alliance.
Yeah.
Let's see here. They initially offered me $500 off, then I negotiated that down to $1,000 off by walking out when they wouldn't hit my desired monthly lease. I closed the deal with $1,433 off MSRP on a Subaru.
Way to go, Greg. Damn proud of Greg.
We are on Instagram, Your Advocate Alliance.
Yes.
I am at Shefska, and my father is at Raz's Jazz. So yeah, follow us there. We'll probably be posting content there. Otherwise, we'll be back Wednesday of next week. Get a nice little hiatus.
Yeah.
Oh, and please check out.
Yes.
Our Bronco. There. This.
Yes.
This.
Yes.
I'll never buy a Ford Bronco. Here's how it nearly killed me.
I can't wait to find out how it nearly did.
Yeah, check out the video.
When I get back to my apartment, I'll check that video.
All right, Pops. I love you. Thank you for doing this.
Love you too.
Enjoy lunch. I will do the same.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next Wednesday. Please somehow get by without us. I'm sure you will.
Yeah, I think everyone's okay. See you soon.